Good day, everybody. I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 8 English lesson on sentences, fragments, and run-ons. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts. We're doing grade 8. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of sentences, fragments, and run-ons. All right, so this is a continuation of our previous lesson on sentences, fragments, and run-ons. We had to say if it's a complete sentence or fragment, or if it's a complete sentence or run-on sentence. So now we're basically going to finish off by continuing with sentences, fragments, and run-ons. We're going to say, is it a complete sentence, a fragment, or a run-on? All right, so our chapter is sentences, fragments, and run-ons. Our subject is English Language Arts. We're doing grade 8. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of sentences, fragments, and run-ons, we're going to say, is it a complete sentence, a complete fragment, or a complete run-on? All right. So when it comes to a sentence, right? A sentence is a group of words that forms a complete thought. So a sentence is a group of words that forms a complete thought. And when it completes a complete thought, then it has both subject and it has a verb. All right. And if we look at at an example, or before we go on to the example, right? We said that a sentence is a group of words that forms a complete thought because it has a subject and it has a verb. It has both subjects and a verb. And if we look at an example of a sentence, it says, my friends walk along the path. My friends walk along the path. And if we were to identify the subject and the verb within that sentence, then my friend or friend is the subject and walk is the verb. That expresses a complete thought. That is a sentence. And then we have a sentence fragment, right? And a sentence fragment, it is a group of words. It does not express a complete thought. And the reason why it does not express a complete thought, it's because it's either missing a subject or it's missing a verb or it is missing a helping verb. All right. So remember we said with a sentence fragment, it's either missing a subject or it is missing a verb or it's missing a helping verb within that sentence. And that is how we can then determine if it's a sentence fragment or a completed sentence. If we look at an example, right, of a sentence fragment, the first example is know the answer. Remember, we said with a sentence fragment, it's either missing a subject, or it's missing a verb, or it's missing a helping verb, right? So here it says knows the answer. And if we look at that sentence, right, that sentence is missing a subject. Because now the question is who knows the answer? It's not telling us who knows the answer. It's just telling us knows the answer. So that is a sentence fragment because if it was a normal sentence, it would have not been, it would have, you needed a subject in order to complete the sentence. All right, so we said knows the answer and we said it is missing a subject. The next one says the red car. The red car. And if we look at that sentence, the red car. So now the question is, what is the red car doing? So the bright red car. So now the question is, what is the bright red car doing? All right. So when we look at that sentence, the bright red car, we need to ask ourselves, what is it doing? So it's not showing the verb, so which means that it is missing a verb within that sentence. The next one says, we skiing next week. We skiing next week. What is it missing within that sentence? We skiing next week. We need to say what is missing. And if we look at that sentence, right, we skiing, so we skiing next week. And if you look at that sentence, right, all right. And remember, when it comes to sentences and fragments, right, a sentence expresses a complete thought. It has both subject and a verb. Whereas with a fragment, right, it's either missing a subject, or it's missing a verb, or it's missing a helping verb. In this last one, right, in the last one, we can say that we are missing a helping verb. So instead of saying we skiing next week, you must say we are skiing next week. All right. So you need to either say we are skiing, but a helping verb is missing. Now we have a run-on sentence, right? So if we go to run-on sentences is made up of two independent clauses that are joined without an end punctuation or just a comma. All right. So when it comes to run-on sentences, right? Run-on sentences, it is made up of two independent clauses, but it is joined without an end punctuation, or sometimes it is just joined with a comma. And we're going to look at a few examples of run-on sentences, starting with this one. I knocked on the door, it opened. So we said that I knocked on the door, it opened. If you look at that sentence, right, what looks like a sentence, that is actually two independent clauses that is joined. All right. So in order for us to fix run-on sentences, because remember we showed now we have run-on sentences or like all right. So we are going to fix our run-on sentences by separating the two independent clauses on their own or as their own. All right. So we can either fix it by the ones with no punctuation over here by saying, I knocked on the door, period, it opened, or yeah, they at least have a comma, right? They at least have a comma. So this we can also, because then if we, for example, write this or fix this, we can say there's an independent clause as well as over there. But now, in order for us to fix the run on sentences, we need to separate the two sentences. Then we need to add in punctuations after the first sentence and capitalize the second sentence. All right. So we said that when we fix the run on sentences, we separate it into two sentences. And here we have the example now of fixing over this, over there, sorry, to there. So now I knocked on the door. There we have a period because that is in one independent clause. And then it opened, and that is the second. And then we can even fix the sentence that is joined by a comma. It started raining, period. And then we start with a capital letter for we ran inside, period. All right. So we can either fix a run on sentence, right, by separating the two and then adding our in punctuations, right? Or we can also fix a run on sentence by writing or by rewriting our whole sentence as a compound sentence. And a compound sentence, it is made up of two independent clauses that is joined by a comma as well as a coordinating conjunction such as and, but, or so. All right. So now we're going to a plus students.ca. All right, so we are now at a plus students.ca. And we're going to say, is it a complete sentence? Is it a fragment? Or is it a run on? And we already went over everything. I don't think we should go over it again. All right, let's go to our test because they're only giving you answers. They're not giving us the question, they're only giving us answers over there. All right, we need to say which is a fragment, a sentence fragment. Keeping in mind, remember we said a sentence fragment is either missing a subject. All right. So if we were to select the sentence fragment, it says, "We'll varnish these old oak floors. They need to be sanded first." Or we can say, "Sometimes feel nervous and uncomfortable when speaking in front of large groups." And if we were to select our sentence fragment, then yes, we will choose the second one. So the second one is correct. Well done. We need to select a sentence, a complete sentence. And it says, Alec tinted his hair blue, the dye lasted for a week? Or do we say for the A major chord, a guitar player places the first, second, and third finger at the second lift? So we need to select the completed sentence. And then we can say option two is correct. Option one is a run on. We need to select the sentence and say which is a run on sentence. It says, we trekked up the mountain with 30-pound pack on our backs. Or do we say, my shirt shrank in the hot water? I could have read the label first. I could have read the label first. So we need to select the run on sentence. Is it option one, we trekked up the mountain with 30-pound cake on our back, or option two, my shirt shrank in the hot water, oh, I should have read the label first. I should have read the label first. We need to say if it's option one or option two, which is a run on sentence. Sentence fragments. And if we were to select the correct option, then yes, option two is correct, because here it says, my shirt shrank in the hot water. That is already an independent sentence or clause. And then the next one said, I should have read the labels. So well done. So the second one is a run on sentence. Well done. Which is again a run on sentence. Option one that says, we usually research things on the internet. We have packed our encyclopedias and dictionaries away in the attic. Or option two, the windows in the kitchen vibrated during yesterday's mild earthquake. All right, so we need to say which one is a run-on sentence. So we need to select the run-on sentence. Yes. And if we select the run-on sentence, then it is option one. Well done. Option one is correct. The next one says, which is a completed sentence? We need to say which is a complete sentence that expresses a complete thought, has both subject and has a verb. A sentence. Is it option one, Mike and Layla both handle themselves well under pressure? Or is it option two, sugar snap peas grow quickly, use wood, stakes, and twine to support the vines? All right, so now we need to select the sentence. And if we were to select the sentence, then yes, we can say option one. Mike and Layla both handle themselves well under pressure. We need to select a sentence, a complete sentence. At higher altitudes, water boils at a lower temperature. Or option two, has developed resistance to the drug prescribed by a doctor. So we need to select the correct sentence that shows a complete sentence. At higher altitude, water boils at the lower temperature. Or do we say has developed resistance to the drug prescribed by a doctor? And if we were to choose the correct option, we will say it is option one. That is a complete sentence with a subject and it has a verb. It shows a complete thought. We now need to say which is a sentence, the complete sentence. All right. So now the next one says we need to say which is a sentence. It says Jackson is going to college. He'll register in the fall. Or option two, in England in the late 18th century, men sometimes fought duels to defend their honor. So we need to select the complete sentence. It says It says Jackson is going to college. He'll register in the fall, or option two. In England in the late 18th centuries, men sometimes fought to defend their duel, their honor. Yes, well done. Option two is correct. The next one says, which is a sentence fragment? Remember, a sentence fragment is either missing a subject, or it is missing a verb, or it's missing a helping verb. So, sentence fragment. Jested for me to join him at his table. Or option two, in Missouri, farmers harvest more than 400,000 acres of alfalfa every year. So we need to select the sentence fragment, and we can say it is jested. Because it only says jested for me to come and join the table, but who jested for me? That is the question. So option one is correct. Well done. We need to say a run-on sentence. What a run-on sentence is. A run-on sentence is that two independent clauses that is joined without punctuation or without endpoints. More than 90% of calico cats, or is it calico cats are female. The rescuers, or option two, the rescuers use several methods for testing the data. The article explains them all. So now we need to say which one is the run on sentence. All right, and we need to select this the run on sentence. It says more than 90% of calico cats are female, or the researchers use several methods for testing their data. The article explains them all. And yes, we are going with option two. Well done. Option two is correct. We need to select the sentence fragment that's missing a subject, missing a verb, or missing a helping verb. Vultures eat the remains of dead animals. So we'll go to the second one. Yes, well done. All right, the next one says, which is a sentence fragment? Remember, sentence fragment is either missing the subject, missing a verb, or missing a helping verb. It says, Charlie going to the movies later this evening. We need to select the sentence fragment. Charlie going to the movies later this evening. Or option two, Mika texted me the page numbers for the homework assessments. Charlie going to the movies later this evening. Or option two, Mika texted me the page numbers for the homework assignment. We need to select the sentence fragment. And if we were to select the sentence fragment, we'll choose option one. It's missing a helping verb over there. All right, so we said sentences, right? When it comes to sentence, a complete sentence, a fragment, or a run on, right? We said that a sentence, it expresses a complete thought. It has both subject and it has a verb. It tells us who or what is doing the action, and it's also telling us the action that takes place within that sentence. Then, when we go on to a fragment, then a sentence fragment is either missing a subject. All right. And then we have a run-on sentence. And a run-on sentence, it has two independent clauses that is not it does not have an end punctuation. And in order for us to fix a run-on sentence, right, we need to, for example, separate the two independent clauses, add our end mark at by each independent clause, and of course the second independent clause, once we after we have put our in punctuation mark by the previous one, we start with a capital letter. We also can fix a run-on sentence by rewriting it as a um, compound sentence, right? A compound sentence, it joins two sentences and then it adds a comma as well as a coordinating conjunction, which is and, but, and. So, in order for us to complete or show the completed version of that sentence. All right, so this is now the end of my lesson or our lesson on sentences, fragments, and run ons. Thank you very much, grade 8s, for joining the class. And I really hope you're going to have a good evening further. So, till next time, goodbye.